The Rangers had the best rotation in all of baseball last year, but with three starting pitchers hitting the free agent market, how many of them are coming back and how many of them are done with Texas?
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about the 3 starting pitchers that are free agents from the Rangers. Tyler Mahle, Patrick Corbin, and Merrill Kelly. Should they stay? Should they go? And will they stay or go? We're going to talk about all that. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. Now, the Rangers had the best rotation in all of baseball last year. And while these 3 guys did help it at times for different amounts of times, most of the core of that rotation is still going to be here next year and probably the year after that. The Rangers had Nathan Eovaldi holding down that rotation, one of the best starting pitchers, if not the best starting pitcher in all of baseball. They had Jacob deGrom, the man, the myth, the legend, making 30 starts after missing most of the last 4 seasons with either elbow injury or just straight up Tommy John surgery. They've got Jack Leiter back. And so how much we want to start with by figuring out if these guys are going to come back, if the Raiders want them to come back, if they want to come back, and if most importantly, I want them to come back. We got to start with how much starting pitching do the Rangers need to go get this offseason? Obviously, the starting pitching was not a problem last year. It was the solution. But the Rangers will need to probably bring back some people, starting with the rotation, with what it looks like right now if they signed absolutely no starting pitchers this offseason, which I think is a possibility, not a likelihood, but a small possibility. Yeah, at the top of this rotation, I think Nathan Eovaldi is probably going to be the opening day starter next year. Maybe it's Jacob deGrom. It's one of those two. Those two are holding down your rotation. Now, how much can you count on those guys for innings and starts? Well, I think Jacob deGrom, you could pencil in for about 150 innings, maybe. Maybe he gets up to 175 next year. Maybe he gets to 180. Maybe he makes all 30 starts. Maybe he makes 32 starts next year. And we see more of a normal higher starters workload. He is going to be a year older next year because that's how time works. And he was 37 this year, but he still made 30 starts this year and 172 and 2/3 innings. Last year, Nathan Eovaldi, who will be 36 heading into this season, he made 22 starts, 130 innings, and had a 1.73 ERA. He was incredible. Jack Leiter made 30 starts, but a couple of those were a little bit shorter. He made 29 starts, one shy of making 30 starts, 151 and 2/3 innings. And then behind those 3, because those 3 are your big 3, I trust all 3 of those guys in a playoff start next year, at least with how they were at the end of this year. Had the Rangers made the postseason, I would have trusted all 3 of those guys in a playoff start, but alas, the Rangers did not get there. And then behind Jack Leiter in the number 4 spot in this rotation, I think it's got to be Jacob Latz. Jacob Latz was fantastic in a starter's role last year, was pretty good in relief, but I think he was just so good that you've got to give him at least a shot to fight for a rotation spot. He was so darn good as a starter last year that it's not even like a qualification of like, maybe we're going to throw you a bone. Like, no, he might be the Rangers' 4th best starter next year, even if they sign back 1 or 2 of these guys, depending on the guys that they sign. Jacob Latz was just that good. And if you just keep him in a starter's workload, build him up as a starter, tell him all offseason, hey, you're going to be a starter, I think that makes life a lot easier. I think he's able to succeed more in that role. Then the number 5 spot in your rotation is probably Kumar Rocker at this point. How much the Rangers are going to get out of him in terms of starts, in terms of the quality of those starts, TBD at this point. He looked very, very different from how he looked early on in his repertoire, and the shape of his pitches looked a lot different in his last AAA start of the year. Makes me a little concerned, a little shocked that they tweaked it so much. I didn't think that the shape of his pitches was what needed work. But in the big leagues, he pitched 14 starts last year, 64 in a third innings, and a 5.7 ERA. Not ideal. He had some good outings in there. He's still going to be 26 next year. This will be his parts of his third season, his second full-ish season in the big leagues next year. But I don't know exactly how much in terms of starts and in terms of innings they're going to let Rocker go next year. And then behind that, there's not a whole lot of depth. There's Jose Corniel, who finished the year with a couple outings at AAA, did make his big league debut out of the pen in game 162, where the Rangers just kind of left him to the Wolves. And by the Wolves, I mean the Cleveland Guardians offense that was just red hot at the end of the year to finish with an exactly 500 record. So behind that, I mean, there's maybe kick the tires on Winston Santos getting a start or two in the big leagues. I don't think you can count on that. I think it might happen, but I think putting that as part of your plan when you've got several guys, you've got your starting five of your rotation. There are depth and durability concerns about, Evo, and who knows how many starts and innings Latz can go, because he only went 84 innings last year, which good for a guy who's, spot starter / reliever, but building up that workload could be difficult, and asking him to go 30 starts in 170, 180 innings, that might be a bit of a jump from the 84-ish innings that he pitched this year. And same with Rocker and Corniel. Who knows when he gets back to the big leagues next year. Maybe he breaks camp as the Rangers' fifth starter. But at this point, I would say the Rangers need 1.5-ish starters at this point. 1.5-ish starters. So let's start with the guy who made the most starts for the Rangers last year in terms of these three free agents. That's Patrick Corbin. He is 36 years old next year. And what did he do well? Well, he showed up in a time of need, a time of desperate need, with no Cody Bradford for the season, which will unfortunately be the case again this year with, I guess I didn't even include John Gray in here because I don't know what to make of John Gray at this point. I don't think he comes back with the Rangers. If he does, I don't know that he's going to be a starter. Maybe somebody kicks the tires on him. I genuinely forgot about John Gray while planning this episode until I literally just said his name right now. I mean, only 6 outings for the Rangers and a 7.7 ERA. It was not exactly inspired ball from John Gray. Doesn't take away from what he did with the Texas Rangers in 2022, his first year there, where he was pretty good, in 2023, where he made so many starts and was a hero in that World Series run, in the World Series specifically in that Game 3 outing, and heck, in his Game 1 outing as well. But I don't know if the Rangers are going to bring back John Gray as a starter at age 34 after, off-season shoulder surgery. I don't know what's in the cards for John Gray and the future of his major league career. But back to Patrick Corbin, the thing he did well is he posted. He showed up, he pitched, and he was okay. And that is good. That is acceptable. That is actually very good for what the Rangers were asking. I mean, within a week, both John Gray and Cody Bradford hit the IL, and then you're left with who knows how much we're going to get out of Jacob deGrom this year, who knows how much we're going to get out of Nathan Eovaldi this year, and then we've also got a couple rookies. And then the fifth spot in our rotation at that point is, oh God, Patrick Corbin, please come make some starts for this team. And you know what he did? He did that. He did exactly that. 31 games, 30 starts, 155 and a third innings. And this was his best season at a 4.4 ERA. In terms of just the ERA, that is the best season he's had since before the COVID pandemic shut down the season in 2020. That's how long it's been. It has been a long time. This was his best ERA in his 30s. The last time he had a sub 4.5 ERA, sub 4.5, which 4.4 is sub 4.5. That was when he was 29 years old in the best season of his career, when the Nationals won the whole dang thing, a 3.25 ERA in 33 starts back in 2019. But that was a while ago. And this was exactly what the Rangers needed. They needed innings. They needed quality innings. They needed durability. And Patrick Corbin, by golly, he provided it. Now, what was the bad part of Patrick Corbin? We'll talk about that. And if he wants to come back, and if the Rangers want him back, and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you could end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch Money is built for people with busy lives, so if you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be back and talking about internal free agents in terms of the bullpen. Which bullpen pieces should the Rangers bring back? Which ones should they say, that's enough, you're out of here? I'll be talking about that on tomorrow's show. Yes, I am aware that the Chiron is from yesterday's show. Canva was having issues. So you are left with the background of yesterday's show because Canva could not get his stuff together this morning. Now, we're talking about Patrick Corbin. The good is that this dude posts, he shows up, he is a professional, he will get you innings, he will keep your bullpen rested enough, and he's going to be respectable. That's what he did this year, which he had not done. He had been the worst starting pitcher in all of baseball for the past 5 seasons. The Rangers figured something out with Patrick Corbin about pitch usage. Mostly they changed a little bit the shape of his changeup. They added in a little bit of a slow curve, but the fastball run value was way, way, way better this year than it had been in years past. The breaking ball run value, bottom 7% of baseball. You know, in terms of the expected batting average, expected velocity, those were not good. The bad of Patrick Corbin is that, yes, he posts, yes, he shows up, but the quality of those innings is a little bit lacking. It's not a guy you want to throw out there in game 1 or game 2 or game 3 or really any start of a postseason game. Now, that's not to dig on Patrick Corbin. I thought Patrick Corbin's career might be done after he had a 5.6 ERA as a 35-year-old in 2024. I thought that meant, yep, it's done. So Patrick Corbin, what a good run. Heck of a contract to finish your career out on. Ends up with a World Series championship, ends up with an All-Star appearance or 2. I think it was just 1. Yeah, it was literally just 1 in 2018. Don't know how he was an All-Star in 2019, but he was even better than that year. But I digress. I thought that was it. And then the Rangers came a calling about a week before the season started, and he did that. But if you're wanting to be a championship contending team, you do need just solid, serviceable dudes at the back end of your rotation. But usually that's not plan A. Usually you would rather have the quality of innings rather than, you know, the quantity of innings, depending on the difference in the quality versus quantity. Now, would I rather have what Patrick Corbin did this year or what Tyler Mahle did this year? I think I'd take Tyler Mahle's 86 and 2/3 innings of a 2.18 ERA than I would the 155 innings of what Patrick Corbin did, but he posted and he had some great games as well. I mean, it wasn't just slop him out there. I mean, the month of July, he was fantastic. A 2.3 ERA and 5 starts there. We had several outings of 6+ innings, including 7 innings of 2-run ball against the Tigers on May 9th. I mean, he had that 8 inning complete game loss. The only runs that he gave up were a 2-run homer to those Washington Nationals. That felt like one of the lower points of this season. But he had some really quality outings in some games that the Rangers needed him to. I mean, heck, in September 7th against the Astros, the Rangers didn't lose that game because of Patrick Corbin. He went 5 2/3, only allowed 3 hits, 1 walk, 5 Ks, and 1 run in 5 2/3 innings. That was a great start at a big point in the season, and the Rangers really, really needed that at that point. But I don't know if the Rangers bring him back. Do they want to bring him back? What's the contract going to look like? I'd say somewhere between it's going to be 1 year. I don't think he gets multiple years after, what has been a good year right now. Spotrac projects him for a $5.5 million deal, but the comps that they're giving to him, they're including Clayton Kershaw, which no. They're including Zach Greinke when he was 39 and signed a 1 year, $8.5 million deal. I don't think that's an accurate comparison. I think somewhere between the Carlos Carrasco, who signed a $1.5 million deal at age 38, and Jose Quintana, who is another crafty lefty who signed a 1 year, $4 million deal. I believe that was last year. I think that's more in the range. So somewhere between 1 year and 4, maybe at the most $4.5 million, because he made $2 million this year to be just a solid, serviceable number 4 or 5 starter. I think that's fine. There's some value there, but do the Rangers want him back? I think maybe. It depends on who else you get. That's not plan A, but if it becomes plan B or C, I'm okay with it. Does he want to be back? I bet yes, because this was the best season that he's had in a long time. The Rangers pitching apparatus is good and helpful, something I didn't think I'd be saying about the Texas Rangers ever. And here we are. The Rangers know how to make starting pitchers better. Do I want him back? Again, possibly. Possibly is where I land at this point. Now let's look at the number 2 in terms of the amount of starts and the quality of those starts made. Well, I guess in quality, this is number 1, Tyler Mahle, who is a free agent. He is 31 years old. And boy, howdy, do I still not know what to make of this Tyler Mahle season. I know it was good. I know it was very, very good. But looking back into these numbers, he made 16 starts, a 2.18 ERA. 16 starts, 86 2/3 innings. He had 6.9 Ks per 9. Not ideal. Half a homer per 9. Just 5 home runs all season in 86 2/3 innings. That is really darn good. That's a big reason why his ERA was so low. He did allow around 7 hits per inning, walked 3, which was a lot lower than it was earlier on in this season. And basically can break it up by month for Tyler Mahle. He had 2 months to start the season. You combine March and April. And in those first 5 starts of the year, he had a 0.90 ERA. 0.90. Actually, that was in the month of April. He had a 0.90 ERA in those 5 starts there. He was fantastic. And then comes May. He had a 2.10 ERA. 2.10 ERA in that month. Another fantastic month. By the time we hit the start of June, he had a 1.64 ERA on the season. He had a lot of games where he went deep into those games and some really, really tough competition that he was facing. I mean, at the time, the Cubs were unstoppable. He went that 7 innings of 1-run ball against them on April 9th. That was a phenomenal start. He went 6 innings of shutout ball. The very next start against the Angels at home, he looked fantastic. A season-high 9 strikeouts. And then the next start against the Dodgers at home, he lowered his season ERA to 0.68 at that point with 7 innings of shutout ball. He was fantastic at that point. And then he was great again in May. 6 starts there, a 2.10 ERA. So by the time we hit May, or by the time we hit June, he's got a 1.64 ERA. He is the leader in Major League Baseball at that point. Actually, it might have been between him and Nathan Eovaldi at that point. Then he has a couple of bad starts in June. And then he's done for a long, long time. Against the Rays, he allowed 4 innings, which was a season high in 5 1/3 innings. A couple of those were even given up by the relievers that came in after him. So maybe he shouldn't have been charged all those runs. And then in that game where he gave up full runs in Minnesota, that was the game the Rangers, one of the games the Rangers scored 16 runs. So, I mean, it's not exactly like it really mattered at that point. Those were not exactly high leverage runs he was giving up. Then he comes back, makes 2 starts and, goes 4 2/3 shutty against Miami. And then to finish his season, 5 innings of 1-run ball. The only run he gives up is that solo shot to Byron Buxton, who was just unstoppable in that series against the Rangers in his final start as a member of the Texas Rangers this season. Now, will he come back? I don't know, because while there's a lot of good, there was a little bit of bad with Tyler Mahle. We're going to talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Let's look at these World Series odds right now. The Dodgers, after winning one game in Milwaukee, are minus 135 to win the whole dang thing. The Mariners, despite going up 2-0 in the first two games of the ALCS, are second favorite at plus 175. Brewers at plus 850. Blue Jays all the way down there at plus 1300 as they head to Seattle. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Now, we've talked a lot about the good with Tyler Mahle. He has incredible control. He pitched a lot deeper into games this year than we had seen in years past. The fastball was fantastic. The command was fantastic. The splitter, exceptional. The cutter, better than I expected. The slider, even at times that he didn't use it all that much, mainly just against righties. He used the fastball or the cutter and the slider a lot more against righties than he did against lefties. He was mostly just fastball splitter against lefties, and he was untouchable against those lefties. I mean, a 2.18 ERA. Granted, the expected ERA was a lot higher at 4.36, nearly double. Actually, I think that is exactly double what the actual ERA is. Now, a lot of that is because the Rangers had exceptional defense. He was really good at home and not quite as good on the road. 10 starts at home. He had a 0.84 ERA. That's right, a 0.84 ERA in 10 home starts and a 4.36 ERA on the road. But the bad about Tyler Mahle is, well, he doesn't post. He did not start a whole lot of games. Only 16 starts for the Rangers last year. And after he went down on June 10th, it took him until September to come back. The Rangers were hoping that it'd be, a month, maybe a month and a half. Maybe he'd be back in August at some point, but that just kept not being the case. And the Rangers signed him on a 2-year deal, a little bit below what he would have gotten had he been healthy, but he was recovering from Tommy John surgery that first full year of the contract. Didn't look great when he was back. And then after those 3 starts at the big league level, had a shoulder injury, shoulder soreness that shut him down for the rest of that year. And then this year, a shoulder injury again creeps up. Shoulder injuries are recurring, and that makes me, and I'm sure it makes Chris Young, very scared about a return here. He also did not strike out a whole lot this year. This was a career low in terms of strikeouts at 6.9. If you don't include his rookie year in Cincinnati, back when he made 4 starts there. I'm not really counting that as a full season of workload. But the walks were not great. The homers prevention, that was great. That was really, really great. I don't know how sustainable that is necessarily. But when you have a guy who has got shoulder injuries, who has not pitched who hasn't made 30 starts all but one time in his career. He made 33 starts back in 2021. And since then, it was 23 starts the next year. It was 5 starts in 2023 before he had TJ surgery. It was 3 starts in 2024 and then 16 this year. So what's the high side you're hoping for in innings for Tyler Mahle next year? I maybe 150, maybe. That feels generous. 25 starts, 20 to 25 starts and 125 to 150 innings feels like about the range for Mahle next year. And for that reason, I'm concerned about bringing him back. I also think every other team in baseball is going to see that injury history and be like, oh, multiple years where shoulder injuries have, cut his season short. I'm out. I'm out. I don't need that. I see the sparkly ERA. I see the peripherals that are not nearly as nice. And I think that there's not going to be some team that's sitting out there waiting to hand Tyler Mahle a 3-year, $60 million contract. I don't see that happening. I don't see a team out there that's going to do that. So that drives the price down. Maybe it's a multi-year deal. Heck, maybe it's just a 1-year deal. But in terms of, do the Rangers want him back? I think absolutely yes. They would be ecstatic to have him back. He is a playoff caliber starter. He is not just a guy who you start at the back end of a a postseason game. Like this is a guy you could start in game 2 when he's going right. But the way he was going at the start of last year for the first 2 months, heck, even the way that he finished this year in the last 2 starts, this is a guy you could start in like game 2 of a postseason series and feel good about it. Not just that you could start him, and you could start anybody in a postseason game 2. Like you could start Jose Leclerc in postseason game 2. I don't think you'd feel good about that, but with Mahle, you would feel good about it. But I think in terms of if he wants to come back, I think there's definitely been there has been some interest expressed at returning to the Rangers. This is a team that took a chance on him coming off an injury. They gave him a 2-year deal. They gave him above market value. I think they got about the value they expected out of the 2-year, $22 million deal with what he did this year. That was absolutely phenomenal. And the Rangers aren't in that hunt towards the end of the season, if not for what Tyler Mahle did at limiting runs when the offense was so horribly inept for these first 2 months. They were able to win some games with Tyler Mahle on the hill that they would not have won had it been some lesser pitcher. So does he want to come back? I think for sure, yes. Do I want him back? I say unequivocally yes. It is not going to be an expensive deal. Spotrac has him projected for a $5.5 million deal. Heck, they have him projected to sign the same deal. They have him as the same market value as Patrick Corbin, which I think is kind of insane with how well he did this year. But I don't know. I'd say somewhere in the 1 year, maybe it takes a 2-year deal. Maybe he signed a 2-year, $18 million deal. Maybe he just wants a 1-year prove it deal of something in the $5 to $8 million range. I mean, I have no idea what kind of a contract Mahle is going to sign. It is a very precarious spot, a very peculiar position, but he's good. There's no question about that. It's how much can you count on him to make starts, to be durable for the first time in quite some time. Can you keep him healthy? Can you keep him performing above those peripherals next year? Maybe. I think yes. And that's why I want him back. And I think it's probably going to be maybe not their top priority this offseason, but it's going to be at the top of their to-do list. Is priority number 1, get a manager. Check. Done. Priority number 2, see if you can bring back Tyler Mahle. I wouldn't be surprised if he was one of the early signees. I think he's either going to be really early in the process or really late in the process of signing. I think he is going to get a feel for the market, and teams are going to be like, yeah, that shoulder injury scares me. A guy who is 31 and hasn't pitched a whole lot in terms of innings in the last 3, 4, 5 years. I think there's going to be some big concerns for the teams who are going to spend big money. They'd rather spend it on a guy who is much more durable, and someone like Merrill Kelly, who the Rangers traded for and proceeded to not get exactly what they were expecting out of Merrill Kelly. It was a tough stint here. Merrill Kelly is 37 years old today. Exactly. Happy birthday, Merrill Kelly. Don't listen to the next stuff that I'm about to say. It is accurate, but not exactly kind. This was a disastrous stint for Merrill Kelly as a member of the Texas Rangers. It was not good. You cannot paint it any other way than it was bad. Were there some good moments? Sure. Were there some moments of disaster? Sure. And were there more disastrous moments than good moments? Yeah, absolutely. In some of the biggest starts of the season, Merrill Kelly just did not have it. Now, his best start of the season came in a game that the Rangers desperately needed. You got to give him credit for that. Heck, his first 2 AL West start, actually 2 of his first 3 AL West starts were very, very good. Heck, even the first 3 were pretty darn good. But the ones that went badly, really just the one that went incredibly badly, sunk the Rangers. It could have gone very, very differently. But on September 16th in Houston, he just got battered, absolutely obliterated by the Houston Astros when, 2 starts before it, about 11 days before that start, he dominated the Houston Astros. On September 5th in Texas, he went 7 innings of 1-run ball against those Astros, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, just 5 hits allowed, and he was on it in that game, in a game that the Rangers desperately needed. Heck, his first start against Seattle with the Rangers against Seattle, it got a little out of hand, and 2 of those earned runs, I believe, were both the same inning that he had a little kerfuffle or a little what do you call it? A hiccup, if you will, defensively. So technically they're his own fault, but he could have gotten out of that a little bit easier. He was just rolling for the first 4 innings, and then the 5th inning came along and he got himself into a little bit of trouble. The 6th inning came along, wasn't quite able to get out of it, but still 5 2/3 innings of 2-run balls, 6 Ks, no walks, and 69 pitches. I mean, it could have gone a lot differently for the Rangers. They could have maybe ended up winning that game. Maybe things go just a little bit differently here and there. But for the most part, in some big games, he just did not have it. I was very impressed to watch him in person that game against Milwaukee, where he gave up home runs the first 2 batters that he faced and nearly gave up a third homer to that third batter he faced, but just working hard against Freddie Peralta, who was one of the best pitchers in the National League this year. He buckles down and gets the job done. But in those games where he just did not have it, it was tough to watch. I mean, he had a 7 innings of shutout ball against Cleveland, but I mean, against the A's, he wasn't able to quite, just step on their throats in a game where the Rangers had the lead. They had to use more of their bullpen than they wanted to. Against that game in Houston was not particularly great. Against Philly, he just got waxed. I mean, against Arizona, he gave up a home run where he probably shouldn't have. The Rangers didn't end up winning that game. And then against Kansas City, he was not the reason they lost that game in Kansas City, but it just basically that one start. It's hard to say, oh, out of these 10 starts that he made, one start sunk the whole thing, but it kind of did. It was the beginning of the end in that game in Houston. If he had just done anything like what he had done, or just even a quality start, just 6 innings, 3 runs, that this entire season maybe goes a little bit differently. But alas, that was not the case. The good for him, he's durable. You can start him in a postseason game. He works deep into games. He pitches deep into games, and that is something that is helpful. The bad, he's kind of BABIP luck dependent, so he doesn't get a whole lot of swings and misses, doesn't walk guys. But if he's, reliant on BABIP luck, if the Rangers don't have the elite defense they had last year in 2026, then, and even if he couldn't really get it together with the best defense in all of baseball, one of the best defense in the history of baseball, he couldn't get good BABIP luck there. He had an ERA north of 4 with the Rangers, whereas 3.3-ish with Arizona this year. I don't know. I don't know that that's someone that you want to bring back, especially when the contract is projected to be somewhere between in the 1 year, $16-ish million range. That's a lot of money for a guy who didn't have a whole lot of success here. In terms of, do the Rangers want him back? I think, maybe not. I can't get a read one way or the other. Does he want to come back? I think leaning towards no. I think leaning towards a return to Arizona, where he's had success, where he's from. I think that makes the most sense. And do I want him back? Not particularly. I mean, there were some moments there of brilliance, but I think just the sour taste in my mouth of just how it ended, and that one really bad start that really kind of sunk the entire perception of how Merrill Kelly was here. I think that makes me lean towards not really. So the ruling is, do I want Patrick Corbin back? Probably under the right circumstances. Tyler Mahle, absolutely yes. Merrill Kelly, not so much. But I wouldn't be mad if he does come back. That's going to do it for today's show. On tomorrow's show, we'll be talking about the relievers. What's this bullpen going to look like having to remake it yet again? And I trust Chris Young to do so. Thank y'all so much for listening. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.